Hello again. This is L8N. Rashida. Well, before I start, I want to say this. I think I finally figured out why she leaves the smoke detector beeping all the time and doesn't replace the battery. It's because she uses it as a timepiece. And she can count the seconds in between the beeps and know how long to be able to talk about something. And then when it beeps, she can move on to something else. I think I have the theory figured out on that. That's not a smoke detector, it's a timepiece. That's why, because it's almost consistent. And I meant to take it and time it in between the beeps, and I forgot. That's bad on me. But I'm sure that's what it is. It's a timepiece. So, but anyway, moving on in this part 2 of her documenting all of her harassments and paperwork and everything, we're into where she starts really talking about the paperwork that she's filing and making it sound like it's more important than what it actually was. And she's not telling the whole story behind her restraining orders. And that when she went in there the first time, it got shot down. And her camera and everything seemed to work the first time when she went into the court. And then, she had the attorney, and then she said that she got doxxed and all of her information put out by Tommy. Well, if my memory serves me correct, when Tommy got served and he brought it out and talked about it and read through it, your attorney's name was on that and his address and stuff. And I don't remember if Tommy had your address there or not, to be honest with you. I don't think he did. So, but when it comes to your phone number, Rashida, you had done multiple streams and gave out your phone number. In fact, I remember one of the first videos that I did about you, somebody put in my comment section about one of the times that you gave out your phone number yourself. So you're not going to be able to use that as an excuse. But I'm going to take and repeat again. I do not agree with people making threats, harassing you, or any of that stuff. Now, in fairness, I don't ever remember TS ever sending anybody after you. But I'm not going to say that he didn't either. But I don't remember it. Because whether he did or didn't, whoever's doing it is doing it on their own accord. They're all grown-ups. They need accountability for themselves. And I do kind of agree with you, whoever's doing it really does need to be prosecuted. So, anyway, we're in agreement on that one, Rashida. So, and then you want to talk about when TS took it in, recorded talking to the detective. Well, Rashida, police officers record stuff all the time. In fact, if you call the police department or 911 or any of those, you're being recorded. Now, I don't know if TS lives in a state where it's a single person knowledge of it or if it takes two. But as a police officer, you always have to assume somebody is recording you. So, whatever he did was not breaking the law. Otherwise, there would be probably millions of people going to jail for it. And actually, some probably do. Or get fines or whatever. And then let's talk about the CPS deal. Now, I got to agree with some people. That should have never happened. And but it was a way of getting at somebody too. And I see that a lot. And not just in black people. Even though, a lot of all my videos, most of my videos, 95% of them are all about black people and stuff. White people do it a lot more, I think. That's just my opinion. But it happens in all cultures, especially in the United States on this internet stuff. Facebook gets it a lot. People put up something and, because to be honest, both my kids with their kids, my grandkids, both have had CPS called on them for misunderstandings of people because somebody's wanting to put their values on them or they didn't like them. Whatever the case may be, was bullshit. And that brings us back to the recording of what you did to your child, which was bullshit way you talked to her. No child should be talked to that way. Ever. Under any reason. But you want to keep saying that that was illegal, and you put it in your court case. In your restraining order. Well, you didn't tell the whole story on the first one because they shot that down in the first court hearing. So, but you keep on to say, you didn't get your way in court is because that you're a black woman. It's darkism. The courts are because it's darkism. Well, Rashida, it happens in a lot of other ones too. For child custody, all kinds of stuff. People get caught on recordings and it gets brought up in court and it gets shot down. And again, you did not click out of StreamYards. Whoever was in the back that recorded that was probably recording the whole time. And being that you didn't click out of StreamYards, it captured everything. Until if you would have taken it X'd out of and closed the tab of StreamYards, would have never happened. And I believe that was brought up in court, but you're still wanting to pull your narrative about, they can't do that. That's illegal. No, it's not. And that brings me to my next point about you saying, people are using your daughter's picture and everything without your permission. Rashida, you put your daughter's picture out there. Once you put it out there, you no longer have to give consent. Consent has already been done. Number one. Number two, you never specified in any of your videos that you cannot use the images. And even if you did, I think you would still lose in a court of law over it. I believe that's how that works. And in fact, I'm pretty certain of it. And I want to clarify something else too. You can say whatever you want to about prosecuting somebody in your own state if the person lives in that state. As soon as you cross over into another state, that law in that state does not cross over with them. Even in the airwaves. Even if the state has similar laws, they don't have to prosecute them. That's just a little advice, just because there's laws in your state, it ends when it goes to another state or somebody else lives in another state. And you're still wanting the police to do something. But Rashida, again, that is the reason why I just talked about what I just said. The police in your state may not, probably cannot do anything if the person lives in another state. They just can't. It's up to the state that they live in for them to decide what they will do if they broke any laws in that state. That's what happens when you put stuff out in the airwaves. When the airwaves crosses the line into another state, your laws, or what you perceive to be laws, does not apply. For it to apply, then it would have to be federal. Kind of like the lawsuit that you're trying to do, which we'll talk about towards the end of this. But there is no federal mandate about any of this. Now, YouTube and their policies, which I will agree, they don't take in and apply evenly across anything, may or may not pertain to what's going on. And even that is open to interpretation. Because just because it's in their guidelines, I still think that's written in pencil. And again, you want to keep calling on the police to do something. They may not be able to do anything, Rashida, because they may live in another state. And because even in that one killing where a person actually got charged in a different state, they had to do a federal case. And it took them a long time for them to take it and even be able to do it, to figure out the laws to do it. When that gal took it and talked to her boyfriend, well, no, that one there was in the same state. But there was another one. And then you want to say about, the police aren't doing anything because you're black. Well, that's not true. Because I know of at least a couple of cases, and one in particular that happened in Washington State, a state above me, where he had a harasser that he'd been complaining and tried to get a restraining order and everything. And he was actually in his own house and fired a gun, and neither one of them went to jail. So, you're not the only one that this happens to, Rashida. That's my point. Again, I want to reiterate, I don't agree with them threatening you and sending you all that stuff. I don't agree with it. I think it's totally wrong. But I'm looking at the reality of it. See, it don't affect me either way. I don't really care. Well, I do care in one sense, but you got to look at it in the bigger scope, and you're not. Because you're caught up in your emotions about it. And now we get to why the police officers were there. On April 26, 2021, because somebody called in the police department, or into 911, and said that you were threatening to commit suicide. Well, the police look at it that they have to go check it out. And I think you understood that. And then you had to take and explain, that you were a YouTuber and you're getting all these threats, and explain all that stuff all over again. Hence why you are saying that, you're making a video documentation of what happened. Well, I think you're going about it wrong, but that's just my opinion. But you keep saying that you're an open book. And so is your YouTube channel. Well, no, it's not, because you remember all this started when over take the video down, take the video down, take the video down. That video's still not on your channel. Because I looked before I went on this video to see if they were there, and they're not. You see, that was an all-day affair. 8, 9 hours? Right before the recording that got made of you screaming at your child? You remember that day? Because you were so mad because the video wouldn't come down. And there's like 5 or 6 videos that, if you were an open book, you would put those back up, Rashida. That's not being an open book. Because those videos make it look really bad for you. And you're not going to be made to look a fool by your own self. That you did, Rashida. And then you mail off to the DOJ, the Department of Justice, for discrimination. Who's discriminating against you? Everybody that I know that's involved in this are all black. See, when you went to court, that was a black judge. And the stuff that I had seen, you made a bigger ass out of yourself. And remember, you couldn't get your camera to work on the second one? The third one I don't know anything about. Because you did something in there to make it to where it wasn't public record. Not quite sure how you do it, but I do know that you can do it. But I'm pretty certain that you lost that one too, because you pretty much admitted that you did. But anyway, getting back to the letter that you sent to the Department of justice, you should have read that whole letter instead of skipping down and missing everything that you put into it. Because number one, I still don't think the police department's discriminating against you, nor did the court system. Because if you would have had a valid point, they would have granted the restraining order. And they didn't. And on the second one, they wasn't going to because you couldn't turn on your camera. I know that for a fact. Even with your witness, another witness again, because you would have turned that into another couple hour deal, and I still think that you would have lost. And yes, the police can take and track down people that have different names on their YouTube channels to find out who they are. But it's quite labor intensive to do it. So now you can hire an attorney and they can do it. But you're paying for it. It's like you taking the dictations of a 5-hour video, which somebody would have to go back through and reread and rewatch to make sure that you didn't miss anything. Even one word. But I give you kudos on that one, though, to have the time and the patience to sit down and transcribe all that. I'll give you that. But anyway, sending the letter to the DOJ, maybe they can help you, maybe they won't. Especially after they go through and review all the evidence. And trust me, they will review all the evidence. But that's what you wanted them to do. And they probably still won't do anything. And then I just want to remind everybody, when you put out pictures and stuff like that, it's open for interpretation. It's open for somebody else to use. Because, see, remember, Rashida, you lost your case. Well, you actually withdrew your case from Dr. Computer Shop. And they really should have counterfiled on you. That way that you would have had to pay their attorney fees and everything, which you probably couldn't afford. Plus, they may have even gotten money from it for false suing them. But the one thing I will say about you making that lawsuit and claiming Google and YouTube into it was a way of getting your channel back. Which I still don't agree with somebody hacking into somebody's channel and hacking. Because it could have went really south for you on that. And you know that. And I'm going to hit on a little bit of her lawsuit against TS and her going after him for infringement. I'm going to say good luck, but I think you're going to lose. Because the fair use and everything else, judges always lean on the fair use. So you don't have the money like big corporate America does, where they just bury you in paperwork. And that's how they win. They'll bankrupt you. But you begging for the money, and yes, I'm going to say begging, because you're not doing this to help your channel. You're begging for money. Because ordinarily, I don't care if somebody asking for, money because of doing YouTube stuff. But there's a point in time where you're spamming your own comment section that it goes from that to begging. So, anyway, I'm going to leave it there and finish off. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and share this video. I'm going to start adding that in here now. And then leave a comment. This is L.A. Den, signing out.